3 to 4 weeks, mortgage rates have been falling, which is good. So the pendulum is going back into a market where things are actually moving again rather than kind of at a standstill. So that's good news. And then we have Shohei Ohtani, who's at $700 million contract for the next 10 years at the Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow, the Rays, he came over. I think it's really important to talk about his property he bought in Tampa in early January 2023. He bought it for $2.35 million. It was listed in July of 2022 for $3 million, but that was because of mortgage interest rates. So he landed this deal, this townhome in Harbor Island, I believe, in Tampa, Florida. Now it's probably worth closer to $3, if not $3 million. I'm just curious, do you think he'll sell this now that he's going to the LA Dodgers, or probably not? And if so, is he going to buy in LA?
Well, it seems like, I think it's more likely, either way, that he's going to buy a place in LA. And by the way, I wanted to ask you about interest rates.
Yeah, go for it. And then I want to go into where I think he's going to buy in LA, because that's my domain. I would love to represent him too.
Go ahead.
But I want you to ask the question after I do the LA stuff, okay?
Are you sure I shouldn't wait till Nate comes here so we have 2 experts and not just one?
That was funny. That was a good one. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about, though, so don't worry. You know what's funny, though? You say how like you feel bad because he's not here to defend himself, but he hasn't been on a few podcasts, so he has no right to complain now, right? What do you think about that?
I'm getting less and less eager to defend him.
3 balls, 2 strikes, pressure is on. This is where we discuss real estate, property improvement, and business. Together, we'll strategize on how to win. Welcome to the Full Count.
Let's do it.
So what are your thoughts on that, Chris, about let's start off with the baseball and all the trades going on. Then we'll touch on real estate right after, because I think right now it's more important to cover baseball.
Well, I initially wanted to go on like a rant and talk about how baseball is, out of control compared to the NFL and NBA, because, a team can just come in and drop $1 billion and other teams can't compete with it. But then right after I got over, the recent news, which we'll go into, I remembered that the Mets and the Padres dropped a ton of money last year and didn't see anything come from that. So just because you spend money doesn't mean you're going to all of a sudden be winning World Series. I think what everybody's upset about is that the Dodgers won 100 games last season, over 100, and then now they're dropping all this money. And it's, for I would say at least 26, 27 other fan bases, it feels like, hey, we shouldn't watch baseball for a couple years,
Wait, why? I don't understand that point. Isn't now supposed to be like the most exciting time in a way?
If you're a Dodgers or a Royals fan, this would be a great time. But if you're
but in general, though, people are talking about baseball again, people that aren't even in that space. It's kind of like the whole Taylor Swift thing. How the boyfriend she was going out with in the NFL, as soon as she got with him, everybody started talking about it. Obviously, it's not to that extent, but with Shohei Ohtani, I feel like people that aren't huge baseball fans are understanding the story. And not only that, people in Japan, obviously, the whole country's watching. So I just feel like it might be good for baseball in general to, get some more attention for once.
Do you think that non-Dodgers fans all of a sudden want to turn their TV on and watch MLB more based on this news, or less?
Good question. I think it's people are kind of in the middle. I'm not sure. Like some do, some don't. I personally don't care for the Dodgers, but I think it is kind of exciting to see that happening. But it's just him, right? It's not just one person. I mean, there's other people in the rounds like Yamamoto, who I'm looking forward to, which is why I'm wearing the Yankee shirt. I really am excited about him potentially going to the Yankees as a pitcher. But as you were saying, the fix is in. You think he's going to the Dodgers. So if that does happen, then maybe it'll piss off a bit more people.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you could take it to the bank. We know he's going to the Dodgers. And just to break down, we can talk about where we were last year. Everybody was kind of upset about how the Dodgers had like the last offseason, they didn't spend a lot of money. I know as a Padres fan, we were, really excited looking at them, kind of talking crap, There's a new team in SoCal, the Padres, coming off a great season, spending a ton of money. Peter Seidler from the Padres passed away. He was spending all
Right.
kinds of money, and then
Well, how much
obviously
did
the
he
Mets.
spend last year? When you
I,
said that they Padres spent a ton of money.
I would have to look up the numbers, but I know him and Stephen Cohen from the Mets were dropping big dollars, and
Yeah,
look,
yep,
Dodgers
I
were.
heard about that one. Mets.
Let's not pretend like the Dodgers had a small payroll at the time. So I mean, they were still spending money, but they weren't big on the acquisitions. And this time around, there was a lot of pitchers, but
Mhm.
starting last season, the season before, sorry, this last season, the Padres had a really good pitching lineup of three or four different players. Three of them went down to injury throughout the season, and then one of them was arrested on their second domestic violence charge. And so they lost their pitching lineup. Including Kershaw, he had surgery, and so it seems like a lot of these moves were to kind of replenish that.
Right, it
Uh,
makes sense.
and now we're where we are. Does it mean the Dodgers are going to win the World Series? No, nothing's ever that simple. But
Right. Yeah,
um,
it's a matter of, I mean, baseball's a team sport. Even like, I mean, look at Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, the two of the best, you know,
mhm,
on the Angels, and they never got a World Series.
mhm.
So you're right to that point. I agree with that. But why don't we break down his contract though? Because initially I was like $700 million that the Dodgers are giving to this guy. That obviously like tightens their budget to acquire other players. But according to from what I understand, it's going to be in a 10-year span where the money is going to be allocated differently, right? I think
Yes,
the first what 10 years is 2 million each time, right? So it's about 20 million, and then the other 68 million up until 2043, which is insane, dude.
right, right.
That's why people call them the tax dodgers now too, because they're trying to find ways to defer. Deferring the payments is a tax benefit for Otani, but also the Dodgers. But at the same time, it does give the team more ability to get players.
You don't really hear about deals like this in Florida or Texas, do you?
No, but what's your point with that? Are they like
I'm
the
just
new Yankees now, or what?
No, I'm just saying maybe it's a California law thing.
Oh, I don't
Like
know.
no, the taxes we pay over here is substantially different, which is why someone would be incentivized to come up with very
Right,
creative methods to get paid out, right?
right. No, that's a good point. I'm not sure. That would be interesting to look into.
To me, what it
Um,
looks like, based on, like you said, 10-year contract, it starts out at what when they start paying the big money 10 years from now. To me, it sounds like Otani is moving after his stint with the Dodgers. He's leaving California immediately
Going to Japan.
somewhere.
No, he's going back to Japan for sure.
But I mean,
I
I'm just
mean,
saying
not for sure, but
he's that's what he's trying to do is get away from these taxes, right?
right, right. That and I saw that he'd be saving about 60 to 90 million in taxes supposedly in California, but who knows? But I do hope he ends up, staying. He's obviously going to stay here for 10 years, and I would love to be his agent and find him a property. To be honest with you, because last time when I was with Nick talking about it, I don't think it's been said because he's such a private person where he owns property. But we were figuring he's probably living in Newport Beach. And more than likely, we even said on the last podcast when we talked about it, if he was traded to the Dodgers, which now he is, he would still probably want to live in Newport because it's more of a calmer
Mhm.
city than anywhere in LA, in my opinion.
How far of a drive is it from Newport Beach to Dodger Stadium?
It's all relative based on traffic. So really early in the morning, you can get there in an hour and 10 minutes, maybe, or 45 minutes. With a ton of traffic, 2.5 hours, maybe. But there's a lot of players that take helicopters or they're just in a luxury vehicle being driven. So I don't know if it really matters too much to them as much. But that's
How,
kind of my
how,
take on it.
how far is the Union Station Amtrak from Dodger Stadium?
Not very far. It's like right there, but you can like walk, but dude, there's no way he's going to take that. Come on.
He's not a man of the people.
Even if I think he is a man of the people, but I think someone like him would be, or at least his team, like his sports agent, would be smart enough to tell him, dude, don't do that. I mean, it'll be a
Well,
nightmare.
Otani is kind of known nationally as opposed to most baseball players are kind of known regionally, right? Where people in San Diego are going to know, for the most part, they should know Blake Snell, right? But
Right.
maybe, over in Seattle, your average person wouldn't know who Blake Snell is, right? The average fan,
Right. Right.
But even though he was a Cy Young winner, right? But I don't know if I really buy that most people in America know who Ohtani is.
I disagree, dude. I think I'd like to see what people in the comments say, whether they agree with you or me. But baseball, baseball fans, okay, baseball fans, I think know who he is, and even people in some cases that aren't following baseball. It's all over the headlines, Chris. Like all over every single news company, they're talking about it, like clips, and then you see it on
Mhm.
social media. They're showing how he made more than Lionel Messi, and I think that's very, that kind of gives you an idea and a cue that if they're comparing him to Messi, everybody kind of knows Messi in a way. I think they're with
You
those two
can't.
names
You
being
cannot. You
discussed.
cannot compare him to Messi at all.
I'm not comparing him to Messi. I'm just telling you that the stories are said that he's getting paid even more than Messi when he was on Barcelona. I think it was like
Mhm.
674 million.
Well, if we were to pull up, for instance, the most popular sports athletes, where do you think he would be on that list? Do you think he would be in the top 100?
I think he'll be in the top 10 in the next.
Whoa. Oh,
Wait,
he
wait.
will be.
No, no, no. In the next like 5 to 10 years, I don't think he's in the top 10 right. I think he is technically in the top 10, but I don't think he's like there's a lot of support for him to be there because you're talking about a ton of other athletes ahead of him, right? Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. So I think it's going to take some time for people to feel a consensus that he's in the top 10, but I don't know if that's the case right now. It's a little too early to say.
I think it says a lot about baseball, to be honest with you, because we're talking about Ohtani. I just don't think the average person walking down the street would realize they walked into Mike Trout. You know,
Right, that's true. That's true. I
you
don't think
know,
a lot of people know who Mike Trout is necessary. I mean, they do and they don't. But like 10 years ago when he first signed on, or like 6 years ago, I mean, I think more people knew, but time, things fade out after time. So maybe Otani will fade out too later on. Who knows? But do you think like Derek Jeter's known though to a lot of baseball fans? Not everybody, but baseball fans. Do you think a lot of people know who that is? If you're in Baltimore
yeah,
or wherever. Okay.
no, I do, I do, and I think it's a lot to do with, you
Time in the
know,
game too.
it's really also he was really famous in a different era, like pre everybody has social media sort of thing. Around the 9/11 timeframe, we talked about that before, when
Right.
cable television was at, baseball was more popular too, right? And I guess really that's what I'm talking about to begin with is the popularity of baseball is going down. Salaries aren't going down, but baseball, the popularity is going down. And in my opinion, I can't say that it's because of what we're witnessing right now, because with the whole free agency, I can't say that because I know this has been going on, as long as baseball's been going on. How there's certain teams who have a lot more capital, and that it's
Mhm.
really bad for a Padres fan out here. It's really bad. Although, look, I can't even say that we spent a lot of money,
Yeah, you
and
guys
then
did. So you got to talk about some
and
other
then
teams that I feel bad for, not for the Padres necessarily.
well, that's why when people were upset about the Astros cheating, I really wasn't, because you know they needed one. That was one for the little guy. You know, if we got to cheat to win, we got to cheat to win.
I don't agree with that. Going into the whole, the times have changed in social media. I want to talk about the sports agent, Nez Balelo, right? Is that how you say it? Balelo, yes. At CAA Sports. Did you know? Do you know his background at all? A little bit. Do you have an idea?
No, I don't.
Okay, so he was in the minor leagues and then he went into the Mariners, I believe,
You
for a
know what?
bit, and then
I,
he got
I just
injured.
heard about him. I just heard about him.
What?
He's Blake Snell's agent.
Oh, he is too? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to share this with the audience of him speaking, kind of speaking to all the reporters, because there was a lot of talk about Otani where he was going, and he didn't want the noise to affect Otani's contract. And I think it really shows a lot about him as a business person, his acumen. And I just want to show that. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, let's check this out.
And that it was just something that we had to do. So It's also a we'll call it a soft apology as well, because I know you all have jobs to do, and I know that you were trying to report things, and the people that you answer to are asking you, where's information? Where's information? You weren't getting it from
I
me.
think that's very
You weren't
polite of
getting it from
him.
Shohei.
Says a lot about him to do that.
So I know it put all of you in a really difficult spot. But again, I appreciate and respect the fact that you just allowed us to do.
It's a good way for Ohtani to continue to be loved by reporters, I think.
A lot of you have dealt with me through the years. This is how I do business. It's always been this way. It's nothing new. So again, it's just the way we do it. It's my culture. It's the way we do it with my agency, and it's just who I am. So again, thank you for that. So I'll open it up.
Check out this reporter too.
When was the last time that you spoke to Angels, and what was that last conversation like?
I spoke to the Angels throughout. Perry and I have a very good relationship, and so I made sure that I kept in touch with them. But I spoke to them toward the end, and we had some conversations, and at the end, it just wasn't going to work, and we decided to go with the Dodgers. So, but I was in contact with you.
And roughly when you said
that was it. I just wanted to kind of show how, this guy is top notch, man. I mean, he doesn't want to burn bridges, right? Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want to burn bridges with the other team, considering obviously this is his biggest client for now, but he's got other players he's got to work with. He wants to obviously be well liked by all teams. And if you continue watching that press conference too, he continues to say how there's a lot of other great teams. He felt bad for the Blue Jays because of the whole fake report about him possibly going there. So he apologized to those people. And the moral of the story, because this is a full count podcast about baseball and business, real estate, I just think that that's good to point out that that's like type A class right there.
Right. And I wanted to correct something. Scott Boras is actually Blake Snell's agent, so I was mistaken. I was overhearing another conversation about a baseball player contacting an agent. So.
Okay, good to know.
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously we're hearing one side. The reason I don't even feel comfortable even being critical of this contract is because I know there's so many financial advisors, lawyers, accountants on both sides that have worked out this deal, and I guarantee you they're way smarter than me, right? So I figure this is the best deal they had, Honestly.
Best deal they had for who? Like for him or for the team, the Dodgers?
For both of them. I mean, it was probably a compromise, but from what's being reported, he's approached multiple teams with the same sort of deal.
Oh, got it.
How to layer this out,
My only thing is I don't know much about how this works because that's a lot of money. So who's paying for that? I mean, the team is paying for that, but is it majority coming from the city of Los Angeles, the county, or is it also obviously the fans? I mean, there's a lot of memes going on that hot dogs are going to go up the roof, and so is all the beer. But how much weight do you think there is between it actually being the fans paying for a lot of that over the next 10, 20 years?
Well, a lot of people attribute this to the TV deal the Dodgers signed, I believe, in 2013 and kind of expanded on in 2020. But I think it's like a $8.4 billion deal over, 20 years or something like that. And so a lot of people attribute that deal giving them the capital to do things like this that other teams like Padres wouldn't be able to do. But I believe Tampa Bay did something similar.
Okay. Well, I mean, we all know that he's going to get a ton of merch sold not only in the States, but also Japan, a bunch of people flying in. So I think it's good for the team franchise overall. But there was, how I was looking into how baseball recently, since 2019, I think, when there's like a new tradition going on, how the game's kind of being switched up a little bit. But when you make a home run or a grand slam, the player goes back to the bleacher, not the bleachers, the dugout. And then they usually wear they put something on to celebrate and cheer on the crowd. And as you know, Ohtani would put on the samurai helmet, or what would you call it? The samurai. It was something else, actually. Maybe not a samurai helmet, but it's a samurai hat of some sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you think they're going to still continue that, or is that technically an idea being stolen by the Dodgers?
Time will tell. Maybe the Angels put a franchise on it. You know what I mean? Maybe they put a trademark on it.
Who knows, dude? But like, there's this. Watch, I'm going to share this with you.
That would be cultural appropriation.
To the max, huh? So the Nationals would wear a wig of the founding fathers. Baltimore Orioles, I guess they had a hose.
Push home a run, and boy, he did much better than that.
So see, everybody has their own unique little cool idea, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I was just curious if the Dodgers can copy the Angels.
The first.
Now, do you think these like little cool fun games actually help the franchise when try to excite the crowd, or not really?
Oh, I do. It's always fun when you go to a game and there's some kind of theme in a way. Even just the hashtag LFGSD during that playoff run. I mean, even just a simple Twitter hashtag LFGSD just was made me feel good.
I agree. I agree with that. All right, hold on. I'm going to cut this out.
What do you think about
the
future of baseball? Do you think it's going to be how long until it's more, if not already, globally relevant than it is nationally relevant?
Globally relevant than it is nationally relevant. I think globally, I think it could catch on. Aren't they going to have baseball in the not the World Cup? What do you call it? The Olympics. They're going to have baseball in the Olympics now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that.
I think that'll help.
But I'm saying, would you agree with the statement that NFL and NBA are more popular in the United States than baseball?
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah,
so
for sure.
So if you had to do a trend analysis, it's pretty easy to see it's not getting more popular, right?
Baseball, I think it might be. I don't know. I think if they play their cards right the way they have been, the game, I think they might get more popular. But is the trend going to be more than basketball and football? Probably not. But at the same time, do you ever think football will start to decline downward because of the whole like brain injuries, or not really?
No, I mean they have good lawyers and they'll pay them. They'll pay out people, but
yeah.
I think so. I do think at first I was kind of upset with baseball's rules, like I think 2 years ago, where they made games go by really quickly because I would traditionally show up to baseball games like 3 innings late, and now if I were to try to do that, it would be 6 innings I would have already missed because of how quick things go. But I think it's actually great for the sport, and you just have to adjust to that and know it's not going to drag on all day. That's a good thing in my opinion.
I can agree with that.
If I had to fix baseball, there'd be like 2 things I would do. One, I wouldn't say I would publicly allow it. We wouldn't be testing for steroids any longer. That would be the first thing that I do.
Yeah, bring back all those home runs.
Exactly. Like that would be the first thing I would do, is just kind of like how the DEA is towards like marijuana these days. I would just, not enforce it. You know what I mean? And
what's up with football though? Does football have steroids or no?
No. I mean, look, the reason I would do it in baseball and not football is because it's not a contact sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I would do it there. But then the second thing I would do is because baseball is so money driven, it's good for the players. Mm-hmm. I think I would reduce the amount of regular season games, maybe even by half, maybe even more than that. Mm-hmm. Because as a fan, when I go to a regular season game in May, June, I don't feel like there's anything on the line. It takes away some of the fun. And football, you have 17 games, 18 games. So when you're watching it, any game is a big deal, And so that's the 2 things I would do. Allow steroids secretly and then drop the games in half. And I think we'll have, a lot of fun,
They're not, but that could be that's actually not a bad idea, to be honest with you. Who knows, man? But we'll have to see in the next couple of years, I guess. But did you also see the Tyler Glasnow from the Rays? He came over. So I want to talk about this because we're a real estate, obviously, podcast too. And I think it's really important to talk about his property he bought in Tampa in early January 2023. He bought it for $2.35 million. It was listed in July of 2022 for $3 million. And obviously, macro terms, prices did fall across the nation a little bit, in some cases more than others. But that was because of mortgage interest rates. So he landed this deal, this townhome in Harbor Island, I believe, in Tampa, Florida. And it's pretty cool. It's a nice property, waterfront in the back. But now it's probably worth closer to 3, if not 3 million. I'm just curious, do you think he'll sell this now that he's going to the LA Dodgers, or probably not? And if so, is he going to buy in LA?
Well, it seems like, I think it's more likely, either way, that he's going to buy a place in LA. Who knows if he's going to sell?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's good to have a nice East Coast house. But I think it's a lot when it comes to buying.
Here we go.
You just got to worry about those interest rates. You know what I mean? And by the way,
yeah,
I
but
wanted to ask,
with his money, I don't think they care. I mean, they do and they don't, right?
Yeah. And by the way, I wanted to ask you about interest rates.
Yeah, go for it. And then I want to go into where I think he's going to buy in LA, because that's my domain. I would love to represent him too.
Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
I'm not going to derail the whole production for my own real estate questions.
But I want you to ask the question after I do the LA stuff, okay?
Are you sure I shouldn't wait till Nate comes here so we have 2 experts and not just one?
That was funny. That was a good one. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about, though, so don't worry. You know what's funny, though? You say how you feel bad because he's not here to defend himself, but he hasn't been on a few podcasts, so he has no right to complain now, right? What do you think about that?
I'm getting less and less eager to defend him.
Yeah, right? You're getting less and less eager to defend it. I love it, dude. All right, give me one sec here. Okay, so now that Tyler Glasnow is a Dodger, he's leaving Tampa, right, for the new 2024 season and on. I think it's for a 5-year deal, 135 point some million, I believe. I think he's going to end up selling his place in Tampa, more than likely. He'll probably get like $3 million for it, maybe a little more. Who knows? And if you're his realtor, reach out to me, by the way. But with that said, he'll probably feel comfortable buying another home in Los Angeles around the 3 to 4 million range, just because that's where he's already coming from, unless he, of course, feels more comfortable to buy something more expensive. I think he's going to end up buying in Sherman Oaks, Encino, or Tarzana, just because it's not too far away from Santa Clarita, which is where he grew up, from what I saw online. And his family's probably still there now, so he has some maybe half an hour to an hour distance away from his family, and then about an hour away from the Dodger Stadium. So I think those 3 areas are the best. And I think Sherman Oaks has more inventory for him to buy. So based on probabilities, he's probably going to end up buying in Sherman Oaks. Maybe.
Well, that's a really good analysis. It'll be interesting to see what really takes place. I wish we could revisit this later.
We will revisit it.
And check out your predictions, see if it's right.
Yeah.
Maybe if Nick was here, he could give another prediction that would be, we could have a competition, but he's not here.
Yeah. So with that said, I kind of want to do we got to start making more predictions, all of us, and see who's more on the money. And then we got to get a batting average between us 3, who has a higher batting average, 1 out of 10, who is actually performing. It'd be very interesting to see. And it doesn't have to just be real estate related. It could be baseball related or business, but
just predicting the future.
Yeah. Being Nostradamus. But I think Glasnow will only buy in those areas if he's tight on his budget in a way where he doesn't want to go over 5 million. If he's going to want to go over 5 million, then Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills is probably more his thing. But I'm just going off of the fact that he's coming from a $3 million property. So.
What about this though? He owns property. We haven't determined if he's going to sell his property in Florida. Sometimes you see athletes, they own a house somewhere, and then they go to a new location, and they either rent or purchase more of a condo situation. What do you think about that?
You think he'll get a condo instead?
No, I'm just asking you. What do you think the possibility he has more of a, less of a homely vibe, but more of a city vibe?
I would have agreed with you if he wasn't coming from a townhome that's on a waterfront property. So
Yeah.
I feel like he likes space. And now that you said that, I'm glad you brought that up because so to answer your question, no, I don't see him going in a high rise or a condo of some sort. He's actually,
Mhm.
now that I think about it, because if you compare prices in Tampa to Los Angeles, Los
Yeah.
Angeles is still more expensive when it comes to luxury. He's
Of
probably
course.
going to go more in the $5 million range actually and higher. So maybe he'll go to Hollywood Hills instead or Beverly Hills area. Now I think about it. Because if he's coming from a $3 million house that today here would probably be more in the 5 to 6 million, he's probably going to want
Mhm.
something closer to that. So I take that back. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What do
Now,
you think the chances of him moving somewhere close to Ohtani?
I think that would have worked if they were at the Angels because Otani's going to want to stay in Newport more than likely. And I
Mhm.
don't think Glasnow, since he's from Los Angeles in general, I think he prefers to go back there. I don't think he's going to want to do the commute from Newport Beach all the way to the Dodger
Okay.
Stadium.
So here's my prediction. We've heard your prediction. Yours is more educated. You kind of zeroed in. I think we would call that more of the bottom-up estimating approach. You really
Okay.
kind of use Venn diagrams and you kind of zeroed in on a location,
Yep.
Sherman Oaks, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say that
Well,
he is.
actually, sorry, wait, backtrack. I ended up saying he'll probably go higher price points, so maybe he'll end up landing in Hollywood Hills or Beverly Hills. Initially, thought Sherman Oaks, but sorry, go ahead.
All right, so here's my prediction. My prediction is he's coming from Florida, and what do they have in Florida? They have space.
Mm-hmm.
He's not trying to come into a tight environment where he's claustrophobic. He was in Florida. Ron DeSantis was the governor there. He's not trying to come over here and get all up in Mayor Garcetti's territory. He's going to Ventura.
Karen
Oxnard.
Bass. It's Karen Bass now. But you think he's going to Ventura by like Santa Barbara area, Ventura County?
Well, no, I just think he's going to go like an hour north of LA.
Okay.
So, like, they call it the Valley, essentially, right?
The Valley is more inland of LA County. The Valley is
So there
LA
we go.
County.
That's where he's going to be. That's where he's going to be. The Valley.
Well, that's not Ventura County. Ventura County is more west, north, which is around by the ocean. It's past Malibu, Santa Barbara area. So I think that's where you think he's going.
No. So actually, I think he's going to the Valley.
Okay, so Sherman Oaks, Encino, Tarzana is the Valley. So
We have
you kind of agree with me on that.
We have the same prediction.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Well, good. So let's see. So unfortunately, Nick is
my second prediction. My second prediction is Yamamoto, take it to the bank. He's going to the Dodgers. Where's he going, Andrew?
Damn. Can I make an explanation though?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, so you think he's going? Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so you think he's going to the Dodgers? Okay.
I know he's going to the Dodgers.
I am heartbroken, but I do kind of agree with you. However, I think the Yankees do have a high chance of getting him. I think he would like to be on the pitcher lineup there, but I did hear that he was at the Mets owner's home for dinner or something, Cohen.
For 15 minutes. For 15 minutes.
Okay, whatever. That's still a big deal though, to go to the guy's own, personal home. But no, I don't think he's going to the Mets. So yeah, I think more than likely he'll go to the Dodgers just because Ohtani's going to say, hey, let me put you under my wing and take care of you and help you. You're Japanese like I am. There's a lot of rapport there. I get it. He's also younger, but at the same time, if Yamamoto wants to like prove himself as a great pitcher, he might not want to be in the shadow of Ohtani, even though Ohtani can't pitch in 2024. He'll start 2025. But I think, this kid Yamamoto, I think he should go to the Yankees. So I think he might go to the Yankees. Screw it. I'll just say Yankees.
Would where Ohtani decided to go, which is the Dodgers, did that have any impact on Yamamoto's future decision?
Yes, I think so, 100%. Yeah, I think Yamamoto is definitely looking to wherever Ohtani went, and I think he's really calculating his decision based off of that in a way. And I think that's why I think it's like a precursor to why more people think he's going to go to the Dodgers.
So I was in the Navy, right? And in the Navy on the West Coast, there's this thing called the Filipino Mafia. It's a true thing. If you ask anybody in the Navy on the West Coast, the Filipinos, they do not deny that the mafia exists, right? But it's not a mafia where they're like killing people and it's not like a criminal mafia. It's more of a network. It's a network. And you can marry into the Filipino mafia. If you marry a Filipina, then they'll respect you as one of them, right? And so I made good friends with the Filipino mafia. And while I was on the USS Ronald Reagan, when I was deployed on the Reagan, I learned a lot of things about the mafia, and I thought about it long and hard, and I was like, you know what? If I was in the Philippines and I joined their Navy and I was American, and there was other people on the ship, maybe there was like 10 other people on the ship who were American, we would also have our own mafia. We would always hook each other up. We would be on the same page when it comes to everything, right? Because our culture is so different than everyone else on the ship. And that's kind of what the Filipino mafia has done in the Navy. Great people, by the way, right?
Great people.
Yeah.
But what does that have to do? What does that have to do with Yamamoto being Japanese, though?
My whole point is Ohtani, Yamamoto. You know what I mean? There's a cultural relevance there, and so that's my point. I'm saying that it could, if I was in Yamamoto's position, that would influence me. Yeah, because you have more culture, in that area.
I agree with you on that. No, I do agree with you on that. And Japanese are always, the whole adage is they look up to their elders or they respect their elders. Otani's his elder. But I'm just saying, if he wants to be more of a contrarian, then he should go to the Yankees and be his own man in a way and not have to be in the, going just because Ohtani's there. But who knows? Either way, it'd be great. I just don't want the Dodgers to have all the great players. Okay, that's just my.
No, I agree with you. But it sounds like you're being more of an advocate. But realistically, you truly believe he's going to go to the Dodgers, right?
Yeah, if I had to make a bet and put some money down, I would say the Dodgers. But my sentimental, side, I would say let's go Yankees. So I'm hoping he's watching this, and that's why I'm wearing this. Maybe he'll change his mind.
I hope so too, because the Yankees ain't shit anymore. Sorry.
No, that's a little rude, but
I'm just saying, I'm happy you guys are on the same level as the Padres right now.
Yeah, Yamamoto hopefully goes to the Dodgers. Yankees. If he goes to the Dodgers, it is what it is. But going on to real estate. With that said, actually, now that I think about it, if Yamamoto goes to the Dodgers, there's a higher probability I will be his realtor. I will never be his realtor.
How are you going to make that work?
I don't know, dude. I'm actually working on trying to, contact sports agents and see what happens. That could be a possibility.
Maybe you should create a network and get with up and coming sports agents that don't have anybody and try to link with them. You know what I mean? Going to the big dogs, they probably already have so many connections. It's like
you're right. That's actually a very valid point. But if this gets big enough, this podcast, maybe it'll change. Who knows? Maybe we'll be the big dog.
It will get big enough.
Good. All right.
Eventually, the Yamamotos of the world will be tuning into us to figure out where they should go based on real estate value.
I think that might be the case, to be honest with you, because I feel like we really break down and do a good, strong analysis and include baseball. And we talk about economics, it's housing. Speaking of economics, let's go right into it. So a lot of people are asking what's going on with the housing market. Things are actually looking a lot brighter right now. The 10-year yield, which basically has a spillover effect to mortgage rates, they kind of get correlated. When the 10-year goes up, mortgage rates usually go up. As you can see here on the screen, the 10-year has been drastically going up since the beginning of the year, all the way up until October. It hit 5%, right? And as of recent, the last couple of weeks, it's been falling. So that's always a good sign. Mortgage rates hit 8% at one point. Now we're looking around 6.5%, and it might even go lower into the new year. It's probably going to get more than likely lower than that.
By June 2024, what's your prediction? Where's the 10-year treasury going to be?
So I'm not one to predict when it comes to this stuff, because this is worse than predicting the stock market in a way. But I think if everything continues to move on forward the way things are predicted, with the Federal Reserve going to be dropping the Fed funds rate supposedly. They've already stopped, raising the Fed funds rate for December. And so they've raised it 11 times since 2022. It's around 5.25% to 5.5%. I know this is a long answer, but I'm just trying to give context. So it's at 5.5% Fed funds rate. It's probably going to drop. Supposedly, people are thinking that investors, based on the dot plot of the projections from the Federal Reserve, around 4.6. So if that happens, I think in June of 2024, is that when you asked?
Mm-hmm.
I think rates could get as low as like 5.5% to 6% around that
Wow.
time. The only curveball and the only problem with that is the presidential elections happening in 2024, and that can just throw everything off. Like all these fundamentals, all these trends that we see can just be blown out completely. So it could mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my
So
only.
let's say you're graduating in May from college. How could you take this information? How could it benefit you?
Graduating in May from college.
Mhm.
So it said about 50% of millennials and Gen Z that are home buyers, when they buy a house, they have a house hack. And that house hack is that they are renting out bedrooms, right, to their friends, family, whatever. Let's say you and I are like brothers, right, Chris? And let's say we're young and we're single or whatever, and we have a family member that gives you a house or us a house. We both move into that home. We make the payment on the mortgage. We rent it. And then you're older than me. So then you're going to move out before me. And you're going to, by living in that house, you're going to be saving money because you're getting a better, rental payment that you're doing. So you're going to buy your own house. I'm going to end up taking your bedroom and I'm going to bring in another person to rent that room. And it's just like a trickle down effect where you constantly get your people that living in that one particular house, constantly renting it while you live there and save money to buy and save. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds intense. But, while you were describing...
House hack. Yeah, that's what's going on. 50% of
House
people
hack.
are renting out bedrooms.
Look, I'm going to say something that's really obvious to everybody, but it's really interesting to me that you can get a loan for like $100,000 for a sociology degree, but coming out of college, you're probably not going to be able to qualify for a loan for a house, which is something that can be recouped from the bank. It's a very safe investment for a bank, almost,
Right.
So that's really interesting, because that's what I was thinking about coming out of college. Who qualifies for a home loan?
Dude, you have me. I don't know. I think most people that are coming out of college, they have a lot of debt, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think a lot of young people out of college have the ability to purchase a home. So yeah, I think house hack, help one of your buddies, move into one of their bedrooms that they just bought a place for, and then see how they can maybe help you. I don't know. Maybe you can all help each other.
Buying a home no longer works. I mean, I'm surprised you're going to show us this, because I feel like it's not good for the industry, right? But you're an honest man.
So I want to expand on this. The reason why I'm sharing this is I am always about truth seeking. I want to always, give the best advice to clients, and I always want to tell them the truth, right? Whether it's going to help me earn a paycheck now or not, because at the end of the day, it's about building relationships. So this came out from the Wall Street Journal. They're saying basically right now is like worse in a way to buy, because the margin or the difference between renting and owning for having a mortgage payment is so wide. However, I think if you read the little verbiage here, it's kind of hard to see it even for me. You see my cursor here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it says this is based off of a loan where you only put 10% down and you have PMI, which is property mortgage insurance. So not only are you paying the mortgage, you're also paying PMI, which that can fluctuate and range from not super high to very high. So it's in a way what they should have done. And I think the reason why Wall Street Journal did this is because they want people to talk about it. If they did 20% down, I think that difference would be less than half of that, or at least half of that difference that you're seeing there. And I think a lot of people also don't understand the macro versus micro. It's better to look at the micro. So if you're going to be buying in, Orange County, you should look at the micro of that area. So look at what the average home rental price is, and look at what the average home would be for the mortgage, and see what the real difference is. Don't pay attention to something like this. This is just, it's like apples to oranges, so it doesn't work. What do you think?
Right. No, I mean, look, I mean, this is what I experience out in San Diego, at least, is, when you're looking at, it's kind of insane how everything's changed so quickly, and seeing this graph really illustrates that change. You see that jump right there
Right. It's huge. It's a big difference, dude.
That's like a huge jump.
I mean, a lot of people also don't have 20%. So in a way I could see why they use the 10%, but I think if people are constantly
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if people are constantly in fear of buying and they always want to rent, they're going to end up freaking renting, dude. They're going to end up screwed over the long haul. And I think what should be shown in this graph also is like equity gain. Yeah, you might own a house. It might be more, the mortgage payment might be now than the rental payment. But when you look at equity over the next 10, 20 years projected, you're going to end up way better off than the renter, because rent is always going to go up. But you're going to have no equity, right? You're not going to have any money to tap into if you want to spend on something else. So, and you're at the whims of the landlord. So, to each their own. But I feel that in a way, society wants us to be renters rather than owners, because if you don't rent, I mean, if you don't own, you're more in control, and you're more in being of control is what I meant.
So yeah, certain elements of society would definitely like us to live in a small box, right? But you hear these, like, you hear about interest rates. You hear 7%, 8%, and it used to be 3%, 2%, 1%, 0%, right? Wasn't it 0% for a very long time, for like a year?
No, hell no.
1%?
No, 2.25%, 2%. Yeah,
20.
It was only for that small time though. I think you're thinking of 0%, which was, they were giving 0% APR on a car loan at one point during that time.
No, but I remember the interest rates for houses being really low, right?
2%.
And you hear those terms, and when you hear, like you just mentioned, APR on a car, that's not that big a deal. But when you're talking about a property that's listed for $600,000, $700,000, that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 changes your monthly lifestyle substantially. Thousands of dollars. Like, it's not a joke. Those 4% is like thousands of dollars of difference, that how your quality of life. And so
now
that's terrifying when you're buying a place that
it
costs
is, it is,
$700,000.
but what people need to grasp and really understand in their mind is 2%, 3% is unheard of. It's something that probably won't happen for a very long time from now. The only reason why that happened was because the economy shut down for the first time ever in the way it did, where literally businesses were forced to lock down. People had to stay in their homes, right? So that's the only reason. And the Federal Reserve wanted this to happen. They put so much money into the market. They wanted to incentivize people to keep buying. So I don't think something like that would happen again unless we have like a depression of some sort. So I think people need to stop thinking about the 3%, even the 4%. I think people should realistically look at like hoping for a 5%, 5.5% in the future. And that's about it. But what I wanted to...
Janet Yellen has taken over Andrew's body.
What do you mean, dude?
I mean, now you sound like the Fed.
So Janet Yellen is... Say that again?
I said, now you sound like the Fed,
No. Janet Yellen is, well, I want to know what did she say recently? Because she's the Treasury Secretary of the United States of America. Federal Reserve Chairman is Powell. So
yeah,
I guess you're saying what?
I'm just, she probably said something about like, you will own nothing and you will be happy. I mean, that's what we hear from that corner of the world a lot of the time,
That's from the World Economic Forum, who actually had that. Yeah, it's insane, dude. But Janet Yellen is thinking that there's going to be a soft landing, meaning there's going to be no recession, which, who knows. But she also was saying in 2021, 2022 that there was going to be no inflation issue, which was stupid. Obviously, there was. We were at 9% CPI. We're now at, I think, 3.1%. And that's the other reason why mortgage rates have come down, because, it looks like they're actually succeeding in bringing inflation down, thankfully, at least for now. But What was I going to say about that? About the whole? Oh, yes, because you were bringing up mortgage rates from the 7 and 8%. Did you know when mortgage rates were at 7% and when they went up to 8%, 5 million homeowners, potential homeowners, had to be cut out of the opportunity to actually afford a property. So now that we went from 8% to about 6.5%, there's about a little over 5 million, 6 million maybe homeowners that now can afford to buy a property. So the reason why I bring that up is there's more people now in demand for a property because they can afford the mortgage payment because the interest rate fell. So I think it's important for people to know that if you're looking to buy in 2024, you really need to think about this because you want to catch the wave before it really goes up. So right now demand is starting to pick up again because mortgage rates have fallen. You want to catch the wave before it goes higher, because once it goes higher, you're going to compete with everybody. You're going to compete with a bunch of people and there might be bidding wars. So I think people really need to think about that.
Do you think demand is low right now?
Demand is softened for sure, especially in the luxury market, but definitely demand luxury market
But what
in
about middle
general.
class?
Yeah, middle class like myself and like you. Yeah, definitely demand has softened, but people need to remember real estate is a seasonal transaction. So during the holiday seasons and the new year, demand always falls. So it fell because of that, and then it also fell a little bit further because mortgage interest rates were so high. But now mortgage rates are improving. So that's my spiel on that.
So right before we started this episode, I'll always start off my news checking. I start off with Daily Mail, and then I'll research further on anything that interests me in that, right? Because Daily Mail is sensational. But so I'll go dig deeper for the facts. But they show a lot of illustrations and pictures. I like Daily Mail because of that. It's an easy way to digest simple news. But one of the top things on there was Grant Cardone, which I kind of feel like he's a grifter. He's trying to sell his lifestyle to everybody else, right?
Right. Do you know who else they call a grifter, by the way, that I found really surprising? I don't want to cut you off. I just want to add
Go
to
ahead.
it. They're calling Patrick Bet-David a grifter now too.
Yeah, so I don't agree with that because
I don't either.
Because Patrick Bet-David is all about discussing ideas and things of that nature. He's not trying to sell you his life. He's not trying to say, if you pay $100, you can be me, right? That's where I find people end up in the grift zone where they're like, you pay $12,000, you can come to my conference, you can be just like me, right? That's the grift area. Patrick Bet-David is creating like an entertainment network that people enjoy to watch, and some people don't watch it, right? Whatever, to each their own.
But he also says the realities. You're right. Patrick Bet-David also says the realities of life is actually hard. There's a chance you might fail, but if you follow these particular processes and systems, you might succeed if you work really hard. But he doesn't guarantee it so much like Grant Cardone, I guess.
Well, yeah. So and obviously with Grant Cardone, the secret is if you go far enough into he's a Scientologist, right? So it goes all the way that deep, right? So there's major differences. Pat Bet-David is I think he's a first generation immigrant who went to the Marines and then
Army,
and then made his way through business. And I just don't see him selling. Pay $999 and buy my book, and you'll be a millionaire. That's the difference I see. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Grant Cardone does do that sort of thing. That's the grift. It's not illegal, but it is what he does. But anyways, my whole point is he was talking about the market's about to crash for office space, and I think he's alluding to duplexes and apartments and things of that nature. But he was saying it's just going to keep going up for single family homes. Like basically, single family homes, there's no hope for you. But all of these other commercialized business opportunities, now's your chance to get in on those. Again, I don't know if we should believe that guy. I have no idea. He could just be saying
I think he's an incredible salesperson. I think we can learn a lot from his marketing expertise and sales expertise and even leadership expertise. But when it comes to certain things like investing, when it comes to real estate, and I mean, because he's against the stock market, but when it comes to real estate, I think you need to be very cautious. He is correct about office and commercial real estate being an issue because a lot of the debt's going to be due next year in 2025. And there's likely going to be a bloodbath in a way. And it kind of has been lately. But The other aspects of residential, I think he's kind of wrong because he's trying to build a business. Not trying, he's doing a good job on it for himself, where he basically is pulling in a bunch of money, a bunch of capital, so he can buy big apartment buildings and cash flow on it, and then give dividends to his investors. But I don't know. I think he's more beneficial for people that don't know a lot about the economics of how things work and how real estate works. So I think you should be cautious a little bit, but you can learn a lot from him still in sales and marketing. And
yeah, he obviously sells a product. It's him. That's the product he's selling, you know?
Yeah. So with that said, Daily Mail, you look at, did you find another article that I wanted you to, or I think we spoke about recently about Mark Zuckerberg, speaking of housing?
Yeah,
let's talk about that.
There's two things we want to talk about, and I think it's interesting that you brought them both up because they have a similar theme. All right. One of them is Mark Zuckerberg building a bunker in his Hawaii home. The other one is Obama's as the executive producer for Netflix series Leave the World Behind.
Movie. I watched it. Did you watch it by chance?
No, I haven't seen it, but
good.
just seeing those two things back to back, my initial thoughts were these people who have brought us, that were so influential to where we are right now, are putting out content about escaping this reality.
The reality they screwed us over in, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying Mark Zuckerberg and, you know, Barack Obama had a huge influence on where we are today, you know? So that's initially where I went in my head, was that, right? It's not always the correct answer, though, because then I started thinking about Mark Zuckerberg buying a safe home bunker, right, in Hawaii,
right, after
the fires. And then I started to think it was about that. We need a place to go in case this thing catches on fire, because there's no contingencies in place on this island to protect us.
Right.
And so that's the less cynical place. And that's the more healthy place. And that's might be what he's doing. But if you see Zuckerberg flying from Palo Alto or San Francisco to Hawaii, might be time to find cover. You never know.
Right. But here's the thing about Hawaii, though. I mean, I would think he'd probably want to buy his bunker, but who knows? He probably knows way more than us with the intelligence and all that they get.
I have no idea where you got this image from, but I'm assuming some resource shared it about Mark Zuckerberg. Let's just pretend it's real, and I'm going to scrutinize it like it's Mark Zuckerberg's his own plans. All right.
Right.
Because I have no idea where you got this image. It's a good.
It was on X. It was on X. People were using it from an article where they mentioned that Mark Zuckerberg is building a bunker in Hawaii, right?
So, yeah, and I will tell you, it is consistent with what I've read about Mark Zuckerberg's intentions for his Hawaii property, because they say that his properties in Hawaii are for one of the real estate agents that have worked with him in the past had almost like a journal entry, a blog entry, where she's telling everything that she did from 11 o'clock, rode horses, 12 o'clock, talked to Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I mean? She's kind of detailing this whole thing. And one thing she was saying is this property this is one of the properties he has in Hawaii. I don't know if it's the same one. It probably should be. Is used almost as a meeting place for his executive team, right? The Meta team. Right. Now, if you look at this image, again, we don't know if they're related. We're pretending here. That would make sense because it's cafeteria style seating. It's almost like, you know, you see that?
At the very bottom, right? At the very bottom?
Yeah, it's the cafeteria, right? And so it's almost like this is where they would operate Facebook during the end of the world. People still need their Facebook, you know?
Maybe. I wish we knew what the square footage was, because that doesn't look too big. That rendering doesn't look like that big of a place.
You know, in the Navy, I've learned a lot about fires. The fire triangle I think being below ground is a safe place to be during a fire, because it's not like that fire's going through the dirt, you know?
Oh, no, I agree with that. I mean, if he's afraid of a fire, I think this is good. Yeah. But what if the ocean ends up rising and taking over the island, though?
That is what you got to worry about. And
That's the only thing I'm like.
in the Levant region, for anybody who knows what I'm talking about, they're currently using water to fill tunnels.
Where's the Levant region? What is that?
Google that. I'm not going to spell it out. But they are currently using water in tunnels to get rid of certain, you know what I mean?
Oh, wait, dude, you're talking about that. Okay, let's not talk about that. Come on, man. Come on. Moving on to this. Okay, so I feel that Mark Zuckerberg, I think he would be better off building this bunker somewhere in the middle of the country or on a mountaintop of some sort. But who knows? I mean, maybe Hawaii's a spot. I don't know.
They have mountains in Hawaii, dude.
Yeah, I know, but it's not as high as the peaks of the mountains in the country of the U.S. The actual, I mean, obviously the Hawaii is the country, but that's an island. So
maybe he only has about 20 people that he likes. Everyone else can get it.
Right.
I just think like what else would he be building this for? I
think it's just a fire. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's a fire. And the end of the world being like people, like chaos and crime. I don't think it'd be like the world's ending. I think it's more like anarchy and craziness. He can go underground. I think that's all what this is for. And a fire, like you were saying. I think that's what the primary source of this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but speaking of like the movie, what was the name of the movie with your friend Obama? Executive producer?
Leave the World Behind Us, right? Wait, is that what it is?
Yeah, Leave the World Behind, actually, with
Leave the World Behind.
Ethan Hawke, Julia Roberts, and I forgot the other actor's name, but
I love Ethan. Wait, Ethan Hawke, Julia Roberts are in it?
Yeah. It's a good movie. It's actually an interesting movie. I actually kind of liked it. It was entertaining. There were certain things about the movie that I didn't like. A little bit like
on the nose. On the nose, right? Like all these movies have to be a little on the nose about these things instead of being a little bit more nuanced about everything, right? On the nose.
I think it's almost like predictive programming, like they're trying to tell us what's going to happen, So I think the fact that it came from the former president Obama, I think that's really telling that he's trying to talk about this. And then there's a movie coming out in 2024.
Let's be fair, executive producer. You can't assign credit or blame to an executive producer. They might not have had nothing to do with it. They could have just put their checkbook out there. You know what I mean?
But you're right. But according to some things I read, he had a lot to say of how things should look like should the world come to an end of some sort, or at least if we were under attack, more so. And I think the movie was really against America. To be honest with you, I won't really get into it since you haven't watched it. But I think
so you've seen it. Would you advise people to see it?
Yeah, I think it's an entertaining movie. But I think if you're not thinking enough about what you're watching, I think you can kind of get like subconsciously like in the pathway of agreeing with what the premise of the movie is trying to tell people, that the U.S. has pissed off so many people. It's no wonder we're getting attacked, type of thing. And then
all right, based on what you're just telling me right now, I will tell you it's rich for Obama to be making this movie. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, it's a big time Obama movie.
Libya, Syria. I mean, look, I'm just saying that we have pissed off a lot of people, and it's not like he stopped pissing off people when he came in office. You know what I mean? But anyways.
Sorry. Oh yeah, Libya. He like took over Libya when he told them to get rid of the nuclear bombs, right? And he did, Gaddafi, and then we took over. Didn't Hillary Clinton say he came, he saw, he died, or something like that? Pretty sure. Yeah, dude.
All I'm going to say is
he used the most drone airstrikes. So yeah, you're right about that.
Look, and we've talked about this. I always think Obama was one of the great figureheads, but I think it is kind of messed up that there's now slaves in Libya. There was a slave market in Libya after that situation. Anyways, my whole point to this whole thing was he's right that we pissed off a lot of people. I'm not saying that he helped it out,
He did not help it out. And I think it's telling. No, you shouldn't cut it out.
I mean, either way, I'm good. I'm good with it, but
I'm good with it too. At this point, as I'm getting older, I'm like, screw it, dude. But anyways, I think it's important for people to have like a good amount of source of of food, if you can have water, if you can have a generator, if you can have ammo, have a good alliance with a small group of people that you can trust. I think that's really important. Have a ham radio of some sort.
Great point. So great point, because one of the thoughts that I had when I saw that article was, if it was like anybody else, you would call them a prepper. When Mark Zuckerberg does it, you start to go, should we be worried? Is something about to happen?
Well, that's because he has so much influence.
Well, it's not only that, but like, he's a tech guy. You know what I mean? You don't really see him as somebody who'd be afraid of some kind of apocalyptic scenario, right? So
I think he's a smart guy. So I think he would do something like that. I mean, the guy's doing jiu-jitsu now. He's healthier. I don't know. That guy's an interesting character because Facebook was like was kind of truthful in some ways until he went to the hearings in the Capitol and he got almost forced by the government to do certain things during the elections. And I think he has a lot of information that he's tolling with, and he's like, screw it, I gotta prepare for the worst. If the world, not the world was coming into an end, but society, governments were falling apart, how would you want to utilize would you want to utilize Nick and have him on your team? And if you did, what would you have him do? Because I feel like some people got to like have their own little specific.
I need a better scenario. Go ahead. The world's falling apart, but like, give me a little bit more detail.
Okay, let's say you, Nick, and myself, and maybe Steven or Sway or some other guys on Full Count, our producers, whatever. We all end up going to a baseball game, right? We go to the baseball game. We go back home. Not home. We go to our hotel. We have a big dinner or whatever at the hotel. I don't know, whatever. And then things start blowing up and society starts falling apart. Yeah, like you see missiles coming in, society's falling apart. All the electricity goes out.
This is Russia and China attacking us, right?
Russia, China, Iran, whatever. Doesn't matter. And the U.S. military is not around to help. But I'm not saying we're getting invaded. I'm just saying everything's like the society of the U.S. is like falling apart. Like everybody's out, doing crime and things like that. And nobody has water. Nobody has food. Nobody has, besides the grocery stores.
We don't know what the hell's going on because our power has been shut off.
Right.
The lights are off, and we don't even know what just happened. Something happened,
right?
And there's craziness out in the streets right now,
right?
And we're all chilling in like this Airbnb together. We don't even know where our significant others are because we went on a vacation somewhere to go watch a baseball game, right?
Yes. Thank you for bringing more clarity to that. But let me just add one more thing. It's called something, and I brought it up to Priya actually when I had her on Full Count, the very beginning of the stage of Full Count.
No, I don't think I've met that person, but go ahead.
It was when there's an attack on our power grid through a pulse of some sort. Fuck, I can't believe I forgot the name of it, the word of it. But dude, I read.
Oh, you're talking about EMP, electromagnetic.
EMP, yes. Yeah, so let's say there's EMPs everywhere and everything's out, electricity, everything. Our power grid's out.
So do that because there's they could just shut off our power without an EMP. Just FYI. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay, let's just say it goes. Okay, you're really making this complicated for me. Let's just say everything goes to shit. Okay, so for whatever reason, let's just say it's you, me, and Nick, and for whatever reason we tell you, hey, lead. You're the leader. Like, let's get out of this urban area and let's go. God knows where. What would you have Nick do?
At this point, we're all going to be acting on. We're going to be kind of in a state of shock, and we're going to be acting on instincts. But we're going to be at this moment, we're going to all be tighter than we've ever been in our entire lives to anyone else, because we're going to be in survival mode.
Right.
And we're going to be way more athletic than we've ever been. Chain link fences that are 8 feet tall, we're going to fly over. It's not going to be a problem. But the main thing is, we're going to need to get out of the city quickly. And normally in a situation like this, if you're going to be in an urban area and you need to escape an authoritative figure, you're going to want to like get rid of your cell phone, find a new cell phone, that whole thing. But in this case, we don't have electronics we're going to rely on. So our goal is going to be to get away from the skyline. That's going to be just our number one goal. How would I use Nick? The same way we would use everyone else. We would all have this understanding that we're working together to get out of the city. This is not the scenario I think that you want for where you're going with this question. I think the scenario.
No, so the audience knows. I'm just trying to find a way to like.
Yeah, we're just trying to talk shit about Nick, but this scenario is not great for that because we're going to depend on Nick just like we depend on all of us to get the fuck out of the situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But Nick was supposed to be on this episode, so like I'm trying to give him crap for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Let me tell you what I would utilize him.
Here's a better question. Here's a better question for you. Look,
can I just tell you how I would? Can I just tell you how I would
Yeah.
utilize him? Okay.
Go ahead.
It would be me on one side, you on the other side, and I would have Nick in the middle with the map. We would find a way to find a map. Obviously, we'd follow a compass because usually one of us carries a compass. It's not electronic. And I think we would find our way out, and he would be the guy.
Well, why do we need a map?
I don't know, dude. Let's just say we're trying to get out of there.
We're in Southern California. We're going east. There's no question about that.
No, but I said I was thinking that we were at a baseball game in like the middle of like the East Coast. So maybe I should have said that.
We're going west. You know what I mean?
Going west. So if you're in the East Coast, you're just going to want to go west?
I'm just saying we want to get away from the coast is the key because the coast is where the bombs are dropping. The coast, you know what I mean? You want to go inland, you know.
I still feel like we would want a map though. We'd want to find a way to get out of the city if we're not familiar with the city. So I would utilize Nick for that.
Here, let me give you.
You and I would be the ones with the you know like making sure nobody attacks us, shooting people if we had to. That's what I meant.
Yeah. By the way, I'm digging this conversation. I can do this for 2 more hours. By the way, but let me give you a scenario that you would like. I think would help you. Let's say you're the president, and we're just gonna hate on Nick here. I'm sorry, Nick, but I'm gonna.
He's not protecting you anymore.
No, I'm just gonna loft it up and I'm gonna let Andrew tee it off. Where is Nick on your cabinet? Nick will be in your cabinet because you do respect Nick and you love Nick like a brother. He's gonna be in your cabinet, but where is he gonna be?
I would probably have him be in the environmental side because I think he knows how to talk to people of that kind of nature to like be soft and you know like gracefully explain things communication wise, and I think he would be the best personality for that. So that's where I would have him.
I feel like that's kind of an asshole move because your policies are not going to be environmentally friendly. You're putting them up against the wolves. You know?
But yes, but I'm the wolf behind I'm the wolf in the chair, and I'm telling him how to approach these type of folks type of situation. I'm talking and I'm very for environmental. I think it's very important. I'm just saying there's certain people nowadays that will like destroy monuments and they will like put oil on paintings. I'm saying he'd be good at communicating to those people for me is my whole point.
I think you accidentally hit the nail on the head, which is Nick would be good in communications.
Good point. Yeah,
I think he'd be somebody that I would want. You know, one of my favorite people in the political game. One of the reasons I got into political science was Jay Carney, President Obama's press sec. When I saw him doing his verbal wizardry, like it made me want to get into politics because of how he would just go up there and just tee off with these people with words. And he was good.
Yeah,
he was good at it.
That is true. But that's another level of communication where you're in the room with wolves that are trying to destroy everything.
Nick would be good in diplomacy. You know what I mean? He would be good. Yeah, he would be somebody good that you could have as a diplomat.
That's true.
I mean, think about it. We've had Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. I would rather Nick be Secretary of State than Hillary Clinton, right?
Right. I agree. I mean, Hillary is just very savvy with how the world and the political system works, but I agree with you on that.
Well, Nick wouldn't be like, hey, we should invade these Middle Eastern countries. Like, he would never say that.
No, he wouldn't. Did I tell you that he worked for he's been on a campaign before? I'm not going to say which president, but he helped someone get elected in some ways.
A president?
Yeah. I'll let him tell you. I'll save it for another podcast, but
I mean, then Obama. It's only Obama. It's the only option.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
he was
that
on his
literally
campaign. He
is.
did something because he got a degree in political science.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right
It's
about
kind of
communication.
honestly, it sucks, but it's kind of a worthless degree because, well, look, most people get a degree in that go into law school, right?
Yeah, a lot of people do that, and then or they do philosophy, and then they go to law school. Yeah,
Philosophy is my favorite subject, but like kind of useless from a financial standpoint, unless you're like a YouTuber, you know.
I was actually I'm glad you brought up philosophy because I was
You
watching
brought it up.
okay, sorry, I'm glad you kept talking about it. Is what I meant.
Yeah.
So Lex Friedman interviewed Jeff Bezos,
Oh
and he
yeah,
was talking.
he's the first person to interview the big three: Elon, Zuck, and Bezos. What would you do?
Oh,
Think
yeah,
about
that's
this.
right.
Think about this. What, like, I don't know what I would do. I know I would spend a lot of time thinking about it. What would you do if you had all three of their phone numbers?
I would start a company because I'm an entrepreneur.
What are you gonna do? Text him, hey, I'm trying to start a company with you three.
No.
Big
I would come
time.
up, dude. No. I would come up with a
What would
business
you do?
plan.
How would you
This is what I'm freaking
capitalize
telling
on
you.
having? Tell me what.
I'm
Tell me what the
telling you.
business is. Tell me what it
I'm
is.
not telling you what the business is. I would come up with a business plan.
Oh my
I
god, we
would
need details.
I would come up with a business plan, and then I would ask them for a favor for their top engineers, for their contact info, and then I wouldn't ask for a favor. I wouldn't ask for financing. I wouldn't ask for them to hear me out. I would get their, I'd contact the people that are engineers, build the minimal viable product, and then I would present it to all three of them separately and see what they say.
MVP, minimal viable product.
That's
Minimum
right.
viable.
That's what I would do if I had their phone numbers, and I would create a company and I would make it very successful. Yep. How about you? What would you do?
Well, I feel like you
Maybe
just
you would do something
explained.
totally different.
I feel like you just explained like the process, but that doesn't really explain what would interest them.
Well, if I already have their phone numbers, that's because they gave it to me or allowed me to have it. So
But
I don't need to
they gave
interest them further.
They gave Lex his phone number because they're going to interview him. You know what I mean? Like, he still needs to come up with a grand idea to, capture them into this, right? Like a
Dude,
united front.
the way you capture a person of that magnitude,
Three people.
But these are big hot shots. Even like a Patrick Bet-David, you got to show them that you've actually done something. You can't just tell them of a cool idea. You got to show them something, and then they'll listen, maybe for 2 to 5 minutes.
I agree with that. I'm saying, what is the idea?
Well, that idea is not going to be talked about here. Okay.
Damn. You don't even have a plan when you have all three of their numbers. That's what I'm hearing.
I have a plan. I have like 3 business ideas right now that I want to deploy. Yeah. One of them is going to be deployed on full count for realtors.
All right, I got a plan. Hey, I'll tell you my plan because I won't carry it out. All right, but I have a really good idea.
See, that's the difference, though. I would actually carry it out. So go on.
All right, maybe we'll carry it. Hey, maybe we'll carry it out. We'll carry it out together. All right, you want to hear it?
The doer and the dreamer.
No. I'm saying like the reason I won't carry it out is because I don't have a team, but maybe it will inspire me. All right. Have you heard of Slab City before?
No.
Slab City. Here, I'll pull it up.
What is that?
My business idea is this. There's a city called Slab City, an hour and a half east of San Diego, in the Inland Empire area. Let me present.
Okay.
All right. Can you see it?
No. Now I can. Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
This is Slab City. All right. And there's this really interesting documentary that just came out about this place by Ranger Rick. Now, most of the people here are felons. Now, in this area, they can't. There's a. This is an area that a lot of people will visit to go check out the artwork.
Well, it looks like crappy art to me, in all honesty.
No. But if you kind of dig into the documentary by Ranger Rick, by the way,
I feel like I've heard that name.
That the people are really interesting, and they sell art. In fact, there's one part of the town where Like this lady has transformed her house into different art pieces made from crazy things, from roadkill that's found on the side of the highway to just very unique ideas of mannequins, and a lot of people go out here. But the problem is that you can't grow food on this land because of the dirt is acidic, and
Oh
there's not
wow.
like a good water source.
Right.
All right, so you ready for my business idea?
Yeah,
You ready
please
for
tell
it?
me. I mean, considering these are
Like,
going to be your customers, I would tread very lightly, but go ahead.
they're not my customers. These people are not my customers. All right.
Okay.
So this is the business idea: a website and service where we have 4 or 5, and I've already seen they're camera friendly. They're down for the camera if it'll benefit them, right? My business idea is, 4 to 10 cameras over the village where they still have privacy, and then a donation page where people can donate a case of water. People can donate a shipment of rice, a pallet of rice. People can donate, and then we'll set up the logistics for that. We'll get it delivered to them. And then we'll obviously sustain our operation to where we can afford to transport it out there, nonprofit. And it's Lab City set up. And they'll be okay with the cameras set up because they're getting all of a sudden pallets of rice show up, pallets of water show up,
So,
barrels of
okay.
water so they can bathe. You know what I mean?
So are these like homeless people living? I mean, you said you can't live there though. So
You
like,
can
what
buy
are
a
these?
solar panel for one of them.
Okay, but what? So you're trying to be a philanthropist. You're trying to be
No.
a
Look,
charity.
don't give me that much credit. They will benefit from my venture, but I'm trying to get rich off of them.
So you would just pay yourself a fat salary while it's a nonprofit, is what you're saying?
But they would get
They would
rice,
benefit.
water, solar power they never had before. So who's
But
to
why do they
say
need it though?
I'm
Why
a
do they
bad
need
guy?
it? Why do they need it though?
Why do they need water? Is that what you just asked me? I just
Because
told you there's not.
they don't live there though, so they
They do.
travel there.
They no. The people there's people who live in Slab City. There's like 1,000 people who live there,
Oh
and I
God,
don't know how they're surviving right now. But I'm sure because they look dirty, they would love barrels of water so that they can shower themselves.
I
They would
understand
love
that.
water bottles. They live in the desert. There's not a grocery store down the street.
Okay, so okay, got it. Okay, so
So my
the
only
people.
interaction with them would be, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put some cameras up so people can see what's going on here, and I'm gonna bring trucks of water to drop off here randomly, and you're gonna be like, thank you.
So I love
Meanwhile,
the effect. I love the effect of it. But why? What's the cause for why someone would want to contribute to give water
because
to them?
because hippies love donating to hippies.
Okay,
And you know
got
who
it.
else does? Liberal arts people,
Okay, you know what?
right?
I could see that actually working. It's based out of California, so yeah, I could see that actually working. So
Yeah.
you're right. I'm not gonna take that idea and use it. I'm not gonna go
What
forth.
the? What the?
But but I think it is a good idea, actually, sort of.
What do you mean? Actually, sort of. Nick, please come back on the podcast. Andrew is being too far right for me.
No. I like it. It's actually very nice of
Look,
you to
it
do
says
that. I'm just saying
Jesus right here.
I wouldn't. No. I like the idea. I just wouldn't contribute my own time to do something like that.
I feel like I could honestly tell them, hey, by the way, we're gonna be bringing all kinds of like good stuff that you never had before: rice, water, solar panels. By the way, we're also exploiting you, and they'd be like, okay. I feel like if you tell people up front that you're exploiting them, it's different than if you don't.
Yeah, but that's. I think that's wrong. But whatever.
What do you
Say I
mean?
was. I mean, I get your point.
It's
I get your
mutually
point.
beneficial. We shake hands on this. Like, hey, look, I'm gonna be advertising your community. I'm gaining from this, but guess what? You're gonna have more right now. Oh, you're gonna have more later than you have right now. Do you want to do the
Mm,
deal or not?
I guess. Okay, fine. I think you just ruined your political career, unfortunately, on camera. But it's okay.
No, I could defend this publicly. I really could. Like right now, they don't have drinking water. I'm trying
That
to
is
set up.
sad. That
You
is
know what I'm
sad.
saying?
That's true. Yeah, I get that.
You need to
I get it.
exploit
I think
people
it's
to make their lives better.
fine. It's a cool idea. I think it might work. The logistics of bringing the water, transferring it, and dealing with health
The
and
first couple
crime.
truckloads I'll do myself. The first truckloads I
Really?
do myself, and
Okay.
then I'll find someone to do it for me. You know what I mean?
Okay. See, I was hoping you'd have more of a grand idea with technology, but this is okay.
With technology, I mean, look, those are all pipe dreams. I have a real thing we can put a project charter to. We could do this tonight. You know,
Run it by Nick. Let's see what he says.
you don't want to put the work in. That's the
I don't
problem.
want to put the work in. No, I do not. No.
There's a role for you in this. By the way, we make this an established town that people want to go to. Guess what? Airbnbs around this place.
But you
Guess
said
who
the
owns
water is toxic though, underground.
No, not the water. The ground is acidic, so you can't grow things.
Oh, got it.
You know, I actually saw this place originally 6 months ago. The documentary just came out 2 weeks ago. It's a 2-hour documentary.
Cool.
But I saw this place 6 months ago because I was on Airbnb trying to find a place that was like interesting to go to. And there was one Airbnb near this place. My whole point is that if we made this thing popping, nothing but Airbnbs around it.
That
We
is.
We could do it. But
I
you
think
got to
you
put
should
in the
do it.
work.
I think you should
And
do it.
I feel like you're not gonna do anything about it. So
I'm
that's what
definitely
happens.
not.
Good points.
But I like the idea. Thank you for sharing that, though. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Really,
I just want to say,
that's where we're
if
going with this.
if you think Chris's idea was any good, I don't know what you think, but if you think it's any good, comment, give it a like, and subscribe, and let us know if you think Chris has a good idea and whether Nick would be a good, person to be involved in a presidential administration and communications, because he has been non-existent as of the last couple episodes. So I don't even know if people even know who Nick is. But anyways, thank you for watching and listening.